Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I'm Cyrus Webb, joined by my co host, Dalsimer, who literally wrote the book that we're talking about today. We welcome you guys tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. We're glad you all can be with us. We're about to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live so they can be a part of our conversation today as well. It's another great one as we're wrapping up our season. We have our recap coming up for you guys next week. But this is going to be a great message. I hope you guys take a lot out of. And we're now live on the Amazon Live platform with It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I'm going to type you guys in a welcome over there. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by my co-host, Dalsimer. You can get it there in print and Kindle, as well as, of course, the audiobook as well. We have another great message as we're wrapping up our season. Again, we do have our season recap next week, so hope you guys will join us for that. But Allie, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Cyrus. Thank you so much. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I was just saying to Allie that this week has kind of been a blur in many respects. I don't remember a whole lot, but it's been good, so I'm not going to complain. But Allie, we do have another great message as we're wrapping up this season. Again, as I mentioned, we do have our recap next week. But this message, I think, is a perfect way to end in many ways this season. And I
Yeah.
should let our audience know Allie has agreed to a season 3.
Yay.
So you're going to have that coming to you guys in 2026. But Allie, before we have you read today's message, what has it been like for you to reflect on the idea of enjoying life, even though it's not fabulous every day, but the
hmm
importance of it is enjoying the life that we have.
Yeah, and that does fit in very well with today's message, doesn't it?
Mhm.
You know, so this week is the 1 year anniversary for the reissuing of this book, and I've been thinking a lot this week about how my journey has evolved over the last year. The subtitle is A Journey to Self-Discovery. And we've talked in previous episodes about how this really has been a developmental process for me in maximizing my own personal potential. And I really feel a great deal of joy in that. And I think anybody who is pursuing their dreams or something they love, anybody who's doing what they enjoy is going to feel joy.
Yeah.
We feel unhappy when we're not living our authentic best selves. And so I feel a lot of gratitude, and uh, I feel I feel happy and joy because I'm doing what I enjoy. So yeah, enjoy. So yeah.
I can be a little analytical sometimes, Allie, as I think we share that sometimes, sometimes, in conversations we have. And I was thinking about today as I was preparing for today, and this was not planned, so I can't
Mhm.
take credit for this. But in season 1 of this series, we talked a lot about loss. We talked about the loss of your mother, your husband, and how you were dealing with that. Did you notice that in season 2, it was more about your taking on, going for public office, also about family, which was a whole nother chapter. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I think, regardless of where our audience may be and whether they're dealing with loss or dealing with trying something new or grappling with being their best self, there's something for them. So I wanted to ask you, what has that been like for you as the author of the book going through it to realize that literally every chapter can apply to someone?
Yeah. And each chapter can apply to everyone at some
Hmm.
point in their lives because we all
Yeah,
go through those cycles. We
yeah.
all
Good point.
experience grief and loss and change and turmoil, whether we're starting a new job or sending kids off to school, or if we're kids going off to school, or we just are, getting married or facing new circumstances or whatever that change may be.
Hmm.
We all face those. So I had someone who told me once a while ago that they use this book kind of as a daily devotional. They just pick it up and they flip to a page and they read it, and
Oh,
if that message doesn't speak to them, they flip to a different section, and they always find a message that speaks to wherever they are at that point in their lives,
mm,
because the entire book is an arc, it's a journey. And so it is really gratifying that knowing that every message is going to speak to at least one person, right? And that's the whole point of doing this, was to try and help at least one person. I say that at the end of the book. If I help even one person, then I'll consider this effort a success. But also knowing that everybody can find something in it at some point, because people are all basically the same. We're all individual and unique, but we're also all the same in terms of the types of things we experience.
Yeah. That is so. Hearing you say that, Allie, is so interesting, and it reminded me of something that you wrote in the book that also deals a lot with Section 2, and this was in your introduction, actually. And I thought about it as you were just talking. You said this book is intended to provide a roadmap, leading you on a journey from sadness and self-recrimination through discovering hope and self-acceptance toward achieving your destiny and finding self-love. I've used anecdotes, famous quotes, and personal stories to help ignite your motivation and foster your positivity so you can maximize your personal potential. And I stress those words because it really goes to the point you're making, that everything's going to affect everyone differently based on, for one, what they're dealing with in their lives and how they see themselves, but also where they are at that point. So for yourself, considering that you never intended to publish this, what has that been like for you to see, Allie, how it's also provided a roadmap for you too?
Yeah, that's been a surprising thing. And we've touched on that in previous discussions. But, I put this out there originally as life advice for my kids. And as a typical parent, I expected them to follow it, and of course wasn't interested in myself following it, right? That's how we are, right? We're all a bunch of hypocrites. But as it happens, I have been following my own advice and started doing it sort of accidentally, and then really embraced it and learned it. And it started with when my son said to me, when I was freaking out one day about I had so much on my plate and I wasn't doing as good a job as I really wanted to on a couple different things. And he said, Mom, you don't have to be fabulous every day. And it was, it's funny, right? It's funny that he said that, but it was also incredibly impactful. And that was the moment that I was like, you know what? I don't have to be fabulous every day. And I started looking at my book. I started picking it up, flipping to pages, looking at it, finding messages that could inspire and motivate me depending on what sort of obstacles I was facing. And, I'm fond of saying obstacles are what we see when we take our eyes off the goal. And so by if I start to get mired in seeing an obstacle, I'd pick the book up and then I'd sort of find my larger purpose, reignite my own personal motivation and inspiration. And then I wouldn't see that obstacle anymore. I'd simply see a step forward to go ahead. And so that's been really, like the cherry on a sundae, right? It's an unexpected bonus.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Your cat is bringing back memories from me, Allie.
Yeah, sorry about that. She's stuck in her cat stand, and cat can't down. She's very old, and I usually have to pick her up and put her down. She's just gonna have to sit there for now.
No. I meant that in a good way. I had my cat Travis when I moved back out here, and so when I was hearing the cat, I was like, "Oh, there must be a Travis."
Yeah, poor Ma. She's an elder little thing.
So that leads us right into today's message, Allie. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Time is the most valuable thing a man can spend. Theophrastus, Greek philosopher. Today is the youngest we will ever be. Today marks the maximum number of days we have left. Today really is the first day of the rest of our lives, and that is a gift. It's why we bandy the idea that today is a present. Given that, is completing a long list of tedious tasks really worth the time and effort it will take to complete them? Maybe, maybe not. The admonition, life is short, eat more ice cream, is about more than literally eating ice cream. It's about embracing the sweetness of life, the people and places that nourish our souls and elevate our moods. Life is an accumulation of the individual events and people we encounter. Each can and should enrich and improve us. If a person, place, or thing creates misery or sadness in our lives or turns us into people we don't like, let's go in a different direction. Let's purge the negative influences from our lives. It might not be easy, but it will be worthwhile. By minimizing, or if possible, eliminating the time we spend with negative people and in meaningless situations, we maximize the time and energy available to spend engaging in activities and with people who lift and elate us. Acting in ways that bring us joy and move us closer to achieving our heart's desire always has value, as it allows us the luxury of me time. Gifting ourselves a few precious minutes returns multifold on the investment by allowing our blood pressure to drop, our breathing to slow, and our brains to clear. Every living being is unique, so what works to calm or center one person may not work for another. The trick is to find what works for you. Then allow yourself to indulge in enough self care to remain motivated over the long run.
Love it, Allie. If you want to, I can enlarge and let you take care of her. If you like, not a problem. Hey, look, I don't want her to think I'm letting her be neglected, but
All right,
I
you know
will.
what? Maybe I will just go run because
Yeah,
she's
no
a
problem.
little thing. I'll be right back.
Not a problem. And I will reset for our audience and say, for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I'm Cyrus Webb, joined by my co host, Allie Dalsimer. We're discussing an important message today, and the theme is time is the most valuable thing a man can spend. And Allie and I, we were beginning this segment talking about kind of what led up to this, especially in this season, what it's been like for us to discuss how she has been able to not only provide a roadmap for others, but also taking advantage of the roadmap herself. In this particular message, I think there's a great reminder for all of us about appreciating life and all that is. There's Allie. I'm going to go ahead and bring her back up. So, Allie, I want to talk about this with you because I think this is such an interesting thing. There are a couple points you mentioned in this particular chapter that really stuck me. And one is, I think for all of us, and for one thing, we've been told this, I think, that you have to be productive. You don't, you're supposed to be. And you say this in the book. Today really is the first day of the rest of our lives, and that is a gift. It's why we bandied the idea that today is a present. What has that been like for you to appreciate that no matter how much focus we may want to put on other things, to not miss out on what is happening in the moment?
Yeah, yeah, I think that that's huge. I think that's huge. We get so wrapped up and caught up in the minutia of the unimportant. If you've read the Seven Habits of Highly Successful People that Stephen Covey wrote, he has the four quadrants, and he talks about the urgent and the unimportant, the urgent and important, and then the non-urgent, unimportant, and the non-urgent, important. And we spend all our time in the in this top quadrant here, where we're really hyper focused on the urgent, unimportant things. And sometimes we get to the urgent, important things, and we almost never get to those non-urgent, important things. And he encourages the shift instead of staying on the top of this, quadrant, to shift so that we focus on what's important, whether it's urgent or not. And I think that takes that takes an active choice. That takes us, that makes us really like dive down and really have to focus on that. But I really think that's one of the major keys to success. Successful people do what's important. They don't focus on the stuff that's not important, whether it's urgent or not. It's how urgent is it that you really check all your emails every day?
Yeah.
I don't know. Really? I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
going to say not so much, but it's, yeah, it's just one of those things where, this woman wrote me, her name's Carol, and she wrote me and said that reading that line today really is like the youngest we will ever be.
Right.
It's the first day of the rest of our lives. Like reading that section, she said, was just so powerful for her. It was life changing. And she ended up, changing what she was doing. And I don't need to go into details of it, but I think that as simple as that statement is, and as often as we just bandy it around so much, right? Like we're always talking about, oh yeah, today's the first day of the rest of our lives. If you really think about that in its gravity, it's important. It's moving.
Yeah, and for me, it's quite humbling. And just hearing you say that because it reminds us of there is no going back. And which means focusing on things that have already happened is a waste of time. You know,
Mm.
it really is about, okay, what are you going to do today? I had a friend of mine when I'd been inactive from my faith for a while. When I returned, he said to me, "I don't want to talk about anything before today." He's like, "Everything begins today."
Mm.
And I will always remember that because that was so powerful, and it was such a great reminder for me not to let yesterday or the past rob me of what's in the moment. And to that point, then you say this in the book that I think is so important. Life is an accumulation of the individual events and people we encounter. Each can and should enrich and improve us. If a person, place, or thing creates misery or sadness in our lives or turns us into a person we don't like, let's go in a different direction. Let's purge the negative influences from our lives. And I thought immediately when you were reading that out loud, the importance of doing this online and offline, because
Mm.
I've heard people, Allie, who talk about people online and things that they've written and said, and give them energy that they wouldn't do if they were that person was in their in their vicinity. They would get away from them if they were in their vicinity, and yet they're still allowing them to be able to throw that stuff at them online. How important has that been for you to realize the totality of that? That whether we're talking about friends, some of us have to do it with families, but also just people who are just not good for us. The importance of taking ownership of this gift that we have of today and not squander it on people like that.
Yeah. Well, I really believe that people who are full of negativity and hate are miserable people. They're broken people. There's something very wrong that they feel the need to, bring you down or berate you in some way. And, these are not influences you want in your life, whether virtually or in reality. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes to pull away, especially if that person is, in your family or close circle of friends. But you can distance yourself from them. You cannot share your deepest, darkest, most heartfelt desires with them. Um, and for those online, block is an actual feature. If I talked about this one time in one of the chapters about there was when I was running for office, there was somebody who just spewed this negative stuff. And I tried to respond and engage and, saying, well, how can we fix this? And let's talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And that person was just interested in putting out negative stuff and in being mean. I mean, that was what that person was doing. He wasn't actually interested in a genuine dialogue. And I finally just ignored him. I blocked him because I don't need to be seeing his hate-filled messages every day when he's not looking for a solution. He's not looking to build bridges. He's just looking to throw stones.
Yeah,
So, block them.
yeah,
And then they can post to their heart's content because what he or anyone else says about me and what anyone says about you is unimportant.
yeah.
What matters is what I think about myself, what you think about yourself. That's what matters.
And Ellie, and I think it's that causality that the Matrix talks about, right? We can't enjoy one without the other because you give us that direction, and then you say what can happen if we do it. We maximize the time and energy available to spend engaging in activities and with people who lift and elate us. And I think that if we think about it that way, by by eliminating this, I have more time for this. I think that again goes to the bigger point that you made at the beginning of this chapter, Allie, of really seeing today as the present it can be. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. Also, the reality of, for a lot of us, and you know this well, given your blur of a week that you've just had,
Hmm.
there's only so many hours in a day, and
Yes,
there's only so much energy in our tanks.
yes.
So, you have to squeeze the balloon. You can't do everything. You have to say no sometimes. You have to cut things out when there is so much on your plate.
Hmm. And that has become, and I've talked about this in other formats, Ellie. That is a hard thing for me, not because I feel guilty for not doing something, it's because I enjoy doing so much. Saying no is hard for me sometimes because, like, oh man, I really would like to But then it's like you don't have time. You can't do it. So that's my, and everyone's situation is different. But that becomes the thing for me, where I literally now I tell people I literally have to take a marker and draw lines, because my mind will be able to appreciate and respect the line. And so I have to do that on my calendar. I will fill it with stuff just because people ask me, like, oh yeah, I'd like to do that. But I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress in that. What do you want our audience to think about, Allie, with this point of, if we're truly going to make the most of today, really doing that evaluation of what we're filling our day with?
So there's a few things I want to say.
Yeah,
First of
sure.
all, we're all works in progress.
Yeah.
We should accept that we are all works in progress, and we are never done until we die.
Hmm.
Always step into your future potential, always. Also, there's Newton's law, right? A body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. My mom used to say, if you want something done, well, she would say, if you want something done, ask a busy woman. But I think the saying is, if you want something done, ask a busy person. um, but ask a busy woman,
Right.
because when you're doing a lot, as you are, for instance, Cyrus, when you're doing a lot, you really do take on more because there's momentum and a building. But there are also limitations.
Yeah.
And I had to say no to a project recently too. Somebody sent me an ARC and asked me to read their book, and I really would like to read it. I cannot do it in the time frame that they have given me. I just can't. I just don't have the hours.
Yeah.
And that was hard. And I said, I will do my best, but I don't think I'll be able to do this. I didn't flat out say no, because you never know.
Yeah.
I hate to rule out possibilities.
Sure.
But I think what I would like for everyone who's on and everyone who watches this to take away from it is, get busy, do stuff,
Mhm.
kick your butt in gear and get going. And
Yeah.
once you're going, then you'll build and you'll build and you'll build. And then once you're going full steam, that's when you can say, no, I can't take this on. But don't ever be that person who's basically not doing very much. And someone says, hey, can you do this? And you're like, no, I can't do it, because you're feeling lazy or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't confuse laziness with busyness.
Yeah.
And don't confuse busyness with getting important things done.
Yeah.
So that would be the message I would like to share with others, that you can and should do as much as you're comfortably capable of, but make sure that it's worthwhile.
Make sure it's worthwhile. That's right. And I think I love the fact that you said all of us are a work in progress, and that is. And then again, I understand. My family and I, and a group of my friends, we have this thing. I'll be mentioning something, and I'll say, "Well, no one's going to feel sorry for me." My mom said, "Nope, I'm not going to. I don't feel sorry for you." And I'm like,
World's tiniest violin.
yeah, but I was like, okay, I get it, because what may seem like a big thing to me. Oh, I can't interview this person because I'm going to be interviewing this person. That that's nothing compared to what a lot of people have it to contend with. So I get that, but I love that message, and I think it's such a great reminder for our audience. Every day is a present, and literally these days, Allie, every moment is a present, because life is changing so quickly for so many people, and for us, it can happen too, and being able to appreciate that. So again, everyone, keep in mind that we are doing our season recap next week. We also will let you guys know about season 3. That will be coming up in 2026. Allie, I've enjoyed today's message. Let our audience know how they can stay connected with you, of course, how they can sign up for the newsletter, and how they can catch the latest episode of your other podcast. So, what's your process?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, you can find me at Dalsimer .us as my link tree, or sign up for my newsletter at allydalsimer.com/newsletter. And it goes out every other week. I never spam or sell info. Tomorrow's edition is going to focus on how to deal with the stress and anxiety that so many of us have been facing over these last few weeks, especially with the shutdown and the other economic pressures and world events. So hopefully it'll be a message that helps folks. And I also provide author updates. And yes, check out the new podcast. It's called So What's Your Process? And I host it with my son, and he's an actor and filmmaker. And we talk with creatives about what they do and how they do it. And we have a couple excellent episodes coming out. In fact, the one that just came out on Thursday is Dr. Jim Price. He's He's a children's author who teaches through Harold the Purple Snail. He teaches kids social skills, especially those coming out of the pandemic who were isolated and didn't get those. And it's a really heartwarming and amazing episode. I encourage everybody to check out. So, what's your process? And also follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active.
Love it. Allie, another great show. Looking forward to our recap next week.
Me as well, Cyrus. Thank you, and thanks to everyone who called in. I know it's been a really tough time, and I just wish everyone well.
Yeah. And I totally mirror that, what Allie said. We appreciate all of your support for this season. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.